Welcome to Fair Game. I'm Kristine Leahy, and my guests today are twin brothers who are single-handedly changing the sneaker game. They created Athletic Propulsion Lab, known as APL, in their college dorm room, and now everyone from the Kardashians to Oprah are fans. In fact, their sneakers are so good, the NBA banned them. Ryan and Adam Goldston are here, and I have you guys to thank for these shoes that I used to wear as a little kid, the LA Gear light-up shoes that I would stomp around in. You guys are responsible for that.
Technically,
in a way.
Technically, you can say that. So when we were 5 years old, our dad was running LA Gear, and he brought us home each a pair of the lighted shoes to test for kids. So he gave me a pair, he gave Adam a pair. We ran to the bathroom, turned off the lights, started stomping around, jumped up on the counter so we could see our lights. We walked out and I was like, Adam, can you see my lights? He said, yeah. He said, Ryan, can you see mine? And I said, yeah, but at the time the lights were on the back of the shoe. So we walk out and we're like, Dad, we love the shoes, but we can't see our lights. You should move the lights to the side of the shoe. So this is before email. So he calls the factory in Asia, tells them to move the lights to the side of the shoe for kids. They do. They go on to sell tens, if not hundreds of millions of pairs for that. We like to take credit for that and say that's when we got started within the industry.
So your parents, LA Gear, they had involvement with Reebok. You guys knew shoes from a very, very young age, which is why it doesn't shock me that in college is when you guys started coming up with the idea for APL in your dorm rooms. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we grew up around the industry. My dad obviously worked in it for a long time, and he would bring us around as when we were kids to the R&D labs, everything at the office. So we only really cared about two things growing up. It was sports and shoes. So I think it was a natural progression for us to go into this space, and obviously with the story, Ryan and I created shoes that would instantly make you jump higher because we personally felt like we really needed to jump higher when we were playing ball in college, and so there was a lot of things that led up to what we created, and it definitely started our childhood.
So speaking of sports, I noticed that both of you guys are wearing rings that look like championship rings. What are they?
So these are the APL championship rings.
Okay.
I can tell you the story about the rings. So it says, World's Finest APL. I mean, we won a lot of championships playing sports, starting from a really young age. And obviously everybody, when you're playing sports, you care about the championship, but you care about the ring. And so once we reached a certain point, one of the things we do is we're always sitting across the table from buyers. And so we're holding up shoes. They're always looking at our hands because they're looking at the shoes because we're holding the shoes. And so we say we make the world's finest footwear. And so what we did is we created these rings. It says APL World's Finest. And so we don't have to tell you how great the shoes are, but you're reading it subconsciously while we're holding the shoes. And I mean, I think it's paid off with the way that the business has grown and everything else. But in addition to that, we also like jewelry.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, in tradition of team rings, does the team get them or just you guys have them?
Well, I think a lot of people on the team aren't necessarily wanting to wear large rings, but for celebrating big things, it's definitely potentially on the table.
So the technology that you guys use, there was something about trying to make you jump higher. What exactly is it in the shoe that does that?
So we have 7 utility patents on a compression spring-based system that sits in the cavity of the forefoot. So it's like a diving board. When you compress all of your energy, it propels you upwards instantly. And the reason it got banned was because the NBA said it provided the wearer with an undue competitive advantage. And the reason for that is when we did the biomechanic testing at a leading West Coast university's biomechanics lab with 2 PhDs who specialize in vertical leap, we found that normal guys off a college campus got up to a 3.5-inch increase instantly, and elite athletes can get up to 5 or 6 inches. And it's funny because in addition to that, we also have derivatives of the technology that instantly make you run faster. So we have one shoe that has a technology that when we did the biokinesiology testing at USC, we found that elite athletes got an average decrease of 9 seconds in their mile time, and one guy decreased his mile time from 4:50 to 4:30 in one day, and his PR before was 4:49.
So this is kind of blowing my mind, because when I wear like fashionable sneakers, they're like Valentino or the Balenciaga ones. Your guys look really cool, but you're saying that when I go to work out, I can match my outfit really well because you have, I think, every color possible, all the pastels that I love, and it will make me do better box jumps.
Yep. So, I mean, we develop everything function first and foremost. That's the most important thing to us. We felt like you never needed to sacrifice aesthetic for function or function for aesthetic. You could do it in a way that feels natural, organic, and authentic to what you're creating. And for us, we're athletes first and foremost. That's where everything we did was hinged upon. And so we never wanted to create a product that couldn't deliver on the things that we personally wanted. And so I think one of the reasons why we've been able to take things as far as we have is because everything we've done is rooted in a personal aspect. And so we wouldn't want to put our name behind something that couldn't perform at the highest level. And so when we're creating these products, we want to make sure that you looked amazing, but you would perform amazing as well.
And it's to like Adam's point, like we both played basketball and football at USC. Mm-hmm. And the reason for creating the technology to make you jump higher, I mean, we're not 6'10", was to really just try and compete at the highest level. Like we could jump really high, we trained really hard, but there was never anything that instantly gave us that advantage. And then we think about it from like the running product, because our brand has definitely really grown since then. And so now that we do men's and women's running shoes, we try to create a product that we wanted ourselves. Mm-hmm. So it's like we wanted something that we could change our clothes throughout the day and keep our footwear the same. And a key part of that is being able to perform in it.
So how do you find out that the NBA has banned your shoe?
Is kind of like a two-pronged approach, but the best part was receiving the email that said that they won't be allowed because they provide the wearer with an undue competitive advantage. Uh-huh. And so when we found out, we were in a 60 square foot office, just honestly trying to grow the business, and we knew that we felt like there was something big that was coming, but when we found that out, the first thing we said is we got to figure out how to get this story distributed, because this is crazy. It's never happened before, at least for performance enhancement reasons. And so when we found that out, there's a moment, it's like a half a second where it's like, you're like, this is a good thing, but we just celebrated. We're like, this is amazing, because we had no money for marketing. So in terms of having a large story and getting your brand known everywhere, and especially for a positive reason, it sounds negative when you hear banned by the NBA, but the reason why it was banned is because it was so good and that the other products didn't match up to what we were creating. So we're like, we need to embrace this, go all in on that, and ended up being the best thing that ever happened.
And a lot of times, like, progression's met with resistance. And so we were looking at, like, we're furthering people's potential to perform in a product. And when we found out, like, we knew it was going to be a big story, but we had no idea it was going to be as big as it actually was. So it got banned on October 19, 2010. That day was the #1 news story in the world. It was the number 2, 3, and 17 most searched terms on Google.
I kind of remember this now.
So it was a big thing where, like, people knew the story about the shoes getting banned, and, like, it's frankly the reason that we're sitting here now and have been able to grow the business the way that we have is because that happened. So when it happened, we sold 9 months of inventory in 3 days, and for the next 4 years, we just sold men's basketball shoes exclusively through our website. And so getting banned and kind of embracing it, because it could have gone a few different ways, but we chose to just embrace it, was the best thing that ever happened to us.
And then Oprah put it on the show?
Well, she didn't put it on the show. She named it her favorite things.
Oh.
And so she didn't name the basketball shoe. She named the women's shoe, specifically the Phantom, and that was a massive moment for us. I mean, in terms of cosigns, it doesn't get much better than having that, and she was an incredible supporter, and she named it Oprah's favorite thing, and then the next month she wore it on the cover of O magazine. So in terms of
marketing for you.
In terms of, like, positive things, it literally couldn't get any better.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when we got inducted to the CFDA, at the, like, induction dinner, so to speak, it was at Tory Burch's apartment. And I was talking to her, I met her that night for the first time, and she was telling me about one of the big catalysts for her business was when she got selected for Oprah's favorite things. And at the time, we knew we had been selected, but we couldn't tell anyone. And so I'm sitting there, like, just getting excited hearing this, because she's obviously created a massive global brand. And she was like, this was, like, the inflection point for me. And I can say that, like, since it's happened, there's definitely been a big inflection in how the business has changed. It's been one of the factors that's truly helped drive it, because whenever you can tell someone that it's Oprah's favorite thing, like, that's pretty amazing.